Sort out all your scraps over 5 inches long and give them a press. Cut them into various widths between 1.5 and 2.5 inches. Now we need to make 5-inch blocks, 3 of each colour, total 18 pieces. Sew the strips right sides together using 1/4 inch seam allowances until they measure about 5 to 5.5 inches. I made an error and used narrow strips at the beginning and the end of each block. Make sure you use the 2.5 inch wide strips. Press your seams flat and cut your blocks into 4.5 inch squares. Using a selection of old denim, cut 18 6.5 inch squares. Out of fleece, cut 18 4.5 inch squares. You should now have 18 each of denim, fabric scrappy squares and fleece. Draw a cross from corner to corner. Make sure you use a fabric marker. Now take one of the scrappy blocks and repeat. Draw a cross from corner to corner. Take the fleece, I'm using the reverse because I want the white side facing up. Lay it underneath the scrappy block. Lay both pieces of fabric in the centre of the denim square. Draw a 1 inch border all the way around the fabric square. Sew around the drawn square and also across through the middle. Repeat for all of the squares. Lay them out so you have 3 rows of 3, totaling 9 blocks. With wrong sides together, we're going to sew them just in front of this edge. I'm not going to sew down the colour fabric. Sew 3 blocks together to form a row, and we're going to do that 3 times. Match them wrong sides together, making sure they're all square. Backstitch a few stitches to secure, and I'm just running my foot along the edge of the colour fabric. Repeat for the next piece. You should now have 3 rows. Now we're going to join the rows together. Open out the seams. And we're going to join those 2 together and then those 2 together. Match the strips at the seams, pinning to hold in place and making sure that the seams are open on both sides. that is the front done. Now we're going to repeat exactly the same for the back. We're going to cut all of the edges. Start about 1.5 inches in. Make each cut about 1/4 inch apart and stop about 1/4 inch before the line. Make sure that you don't cut across the stitches. Repeat for all the remainder interior seams. Do not cut around the outside edge. Repeat for all the colour blocks, going around all 4 edges. I have 3 pieces of denim that are 16¼ inches long by 6 inches wide. I have 2 pieces of fusible interfacing, 2 inches wide and 13¼ inches long, and a selection of strips minimum 5 inches long of various widths and colours. Draw a line down the centre of your interfacing. This will help us keep the coloured strips in the centre. Overhang the first piece of fabric by about 1/2 inch and have it facing right side up. Mark the centre and line this up with the drawn line. Lay the fabrics right side together, pin in place to hold, and sew with 1/4 inch seam allowance. Cut the strips 7/8 inch overhang on both sides of the interfacing. Press the sides over, being careful not to put your iron onto the sticky side of the interfacing. Mark the centres on one of the denim pieces. Draw a 1.5 inch mark in at the short ends on both sides. This should measure 13¼ inches. Draw a line down the centre of the fabric. Fold the ends in to make neat corners. Position the strip into the centre of the denim fabric. Draw a 1 inch mark all the way around the edge of the denim fabric. This will be your sewing line. I've centred them. I've got my 1 inch mark all the way around the edge, and I've pinned the strip on the 1.5 inch mark from the edge. I'm just going to pin that down. Top stitch 1/8 inch all the way around the scrappy fabric, and then repeat for the second piece. For top stitching, I like to use this stitch in the ditch foot. As you can see, it has a metal guide right in the middle of the foot. I'm going to put my needle right over to the left hand position, and that gives me 1/8 inch top stitch seam allowance. Then I'm just going to run that blade along the edge of the fabric that I want to top stitch. I've put my stitch length up to 3.4. Draw 1 inch sewing line all the way around the edge of the third piece. With wrong sides together, line up one of the side pieces with the front piece. Make sure that the seams are open, pin and clip to hold. Now line up the second side piece to the other side, wrong sides together. Now we need to add the back piece. Sew down both side seams. Backstitch at the top. When you get to the bottom, stop at the drawn line on the denim just at the bottom of the colour block and backstitch. Now we need to attach the bottom of the bag. This is why we have left the bottoms of the side seams open. I'm going to line up one side at a time, making sure all the seams are open. I'm putting the pin at the marked sewing lines right in the corner so that I can turn the corners nice and sharp. I've got the bottom pinned in place, and now we're going to sew one side at a time all the way around. Working from the top, make sure you have the bottom of the bag out of the way. Start at the stitches about 1 inch in from the end, backstitch to secure, and stop at the stitches at the other end. So I'm stopping roughly at the stitches. Finish off trimming the denim, just the inner seams only, not around the side edges or the top and the bottom. The first thing we're going to do is work on the zipper, so take the zipper tab and fold in the short edges about 1/2 inch to the wrong side. Now bring those two short edges up together, making sure that the right side of the fabric is on the inside. And sew down the two raw open edges. Turn right side out. Place onto the end of the zipper and top stitch all the way around the edge. Now take the other end of the zipper and open it out. Attach the zipper tab . Fold the zipper over about a 90-degree angle and pin to hold. Repeat on the other zipper side. Try to match the tops the best that you can. Sew the fold down to hold in place. Now we need to work on the zipper closures. I use this 1/4 inch washable double-sided quilting tape. Put the tape on the short edges of all of the 4 fabrics. Remove the tape and fold over the edges to the wrong side. Do this for all of the fabrics so that you can make sure they're all exactly the same length. Press down with a hot iron, this will stick the glue. Turn all of your fabrics over so that the right side is facing up. And now we're going to put the tape along one of the long edges on each piece of fabric on the right side. This will look weird. Fold it over to the wrong side. Make sure that you keep the paper on. Repeat for the remainder 3 pieces of fabric. With the zipper facing right side up, take one of your main outer fabrics. Remove your tape and position it into place, overhanging it at the top of the zipper about 1/2 inch and making sure that you leave enough space for the zipper pull to slide up and down. Repeat with the second side of the outer fabric. Flip the whole thing over. And now we repeat with the lining fabric. Line up at the top corners and you can also match up along the bottom edge. Repeat with the second lining piece. I made an error. Make sure that the zipper pull is at the open end of the zipper when the zipper is closed, or you will not be able to open the zipper fully. I had to unpick both ends of the zipper, slide the tab off and re-slide it back on again from the correct end. Once I'm happy with the positioning, I'm going to check that the zipper moves up and down freely, and when I'm happy, iron to adhere the glue. Top stitch all the way around, both of them individually. I'm going to start on the side. I decided I want to do a multicoloured liner. It has 4 different pockets. If you don't want to do a multicoloured liner, then I'll give you the measurement afterwards. So we'll just put those aside. So for the actual bag, the main bag lining, they're all 14.5 inches long, and I have 2 pieces that are 11 3/4 inches wide, 2 pieces that are 4 3/4 wide, and 4 pieces. I have 2 that side and 2 that side, and those are 2 3/4 inches wide. Now they all, when I sew them together, they will all have 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, and the finished size, the fabric, will actually be 19 3/4 wide by 14.5. So if you just want to do one piece, cut it 19 3/4 inches wide. And now for the pockets, I have one pocket that is 7 3/4 inches wide by 7.5 inches long, and a piece of 1/4 inch elastic that is 4 inches long. The other pocket is going to be a slip pocket, and that is 10.5 inches wide by 7.5 inches long. And the next pocket is a zipper pocket, and it's 10.5 inches wide by 12 inches long, and I have a 7-inch zip that is a number 3 zipper, which means it's a 3mm teeth. So the first thing I'm going to do is put these aside and make the elastic pocket. Draw a line 1/2 inch down from the top and take it to the iron and press that down 1/4 inch. So if you just line it up to the 1/2 inch mark, it'll give you 1/4 inch fold. Fold it over enough to give me a slot for the elastic to go through, so about 1/2 inch. So fold it over another 1/2 inch. If you're unsure what 1/2 inch it is, just draw yourself a 1-inch line from that folded edge and bring the fabric down to that 1-inch mark, and that will give you a 1/2 inch fold. So I'm just going to press that down again. And we're folding this to the wrong side of the fabric. I'm using, this is called a bodkin. So I'm just going to grab the elastic with the bodkin. You could use a pin, safety pin. I'm going to push the bodkin through and pull the elastic. It's a snug fit, and as I get to the end of my elastic, I'm just going to put a pin in the end so it doesn't pull out, and then continue pulling the elastic out the other end. And this piece of elastic I'm going to pin at this end. So I'm just going to go and stitch over the ends of that elastic on my machine just to secure. Now I want to take one of the 4 3/4 inch wide strips, and I want to line it up with the bottom and the side edges. Take one of the large liner pieces and take the zipper pocket lining piece. Mark the centres. Measure 1.5 inches down with the fabrics right sides together, matching them at the centre point. Draw a 7 inch by 3/8 of an inch rectangle 1 inch down from the top in the centre of the pocket lining. Sew around the rectangle on the drawn line. Draw a line down the centre of the rectangle, stopping 3/8 of an inch from the end, and then draw from the centre line out to each corner. This is the cutting guide. Cut along the drawn line, and when you cut into the corners, cut as close as possible without cutting the stitches. Give it a press and then pull it through to the wrong side. So now we have wrong sides of the fabric facing. Take your time and press it nice and neat. This will give a nice neat edge around the zipper. Now take your zipper and place it centre under the hole. Pin into place. Top stitch all the way around the zipper. If you have a zipper foot, use that now. This is a single foot and it will help you get closer to the zip. Flip it over and bring the pocket lining up. Pin the pocket lining together. Don't pin it to the bag lining piece. I fold the bag lining out of the way so I don't get it caught in my stitches. And now sew the 3 open edges of the pocket closed. Take a piece of fabric that is 2 inches wide and 7.5 inches long. Take the slip pocket and this small piece of fabric and line them wrong sides together. Sew an 1/8 of an inch seam. Press flat. Now bring it over right sides together and sew a 1/4 inch seam. This now has hidden all the raw edges within the seam on the inside of the pocket. Fold over to the wrong side 1/2 inch and press, and fold over again 1/2 inch and press. Top stitch along both long edges of the fold. Draw a 5 inch line from the sewn edge. Pin the slip pocket, lining up the bottom and the side edges. Now take the piece that has the elastic pocket on the bottom, pull the bottom threads of the elastic pocket together. Now place the fabrics right sides together. matching up the top of the pockets and pin in place. So 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Now add the remainder 2 side pieces to the bag lining. Lay the pieces in a mirror image for the second side. Sew them together using 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Press all the seams open. Center the pocket in the middle of the whole piece. Sew the pocket into place. Line up the bottom piece along the bottom edge, right sides together and pin into place, and repeat with the second lining piece. Sew using 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Line up the side edges, pin, and sew. Draw and cut out 2-inch corners. Open out the corners flat, pin, and sew with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Now we need to add the closure. Mark the centres of the front and the back of the lining. Make sure when you sew up the sides of the lining that you leave an opening of about 6 inches down from the top edge. Mark the centres of the zipper casing. With your lining fabric right side facing, line up the zipper casing also right side facing, matching at the centre marks. Now take the lining top piece and lay this right sides facing down, matching the raw edges. Flip the lining over and repeat on the other side. Sew using 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Sew back up the side seams. If desired, add a piece of stiffening to the bottom of the bag. If you're going to wash the bag, make sure that you sew this stiffening in onto the bottom piece before you attach it to the bag. If you're just ironing it into place, do not wash the bag as it will come away from the bag. Cut 2 pieces of outer fabric, 36 inches long by 6 inches wide, for the handles. Draw a line down the centre on the wrong side. Fold both raw edges into the centre and then fold again. Top stitch all the way around both edges. Draw a 1-inch line all the way around the edge of the top of the bag outer. With the bag wrong side out, find the centres of the front and the back of the bag. Measure 5 inches out from the centre mark on both sides. With the straps, it's going to look really weird, but take the handles and line them up with the 1-inch mark, with the 1-inch line on the fabric on the inside of the 5-inch mark. Sew along the 1-inch line to secure. Turn the bag right side out. Open up the seams and fold over 1 inch and clip to hold all the way around the top of the bag. Repeat with the lining. Draw a 1-inch line on the wrong side of the lining all the way around the top. Fold over and press on the 1-inch line. Put the lining into the bag, wrong sides together. Mark the centres and match all the centres and the side seams. Clip to hold. Top stitch all the way around. Make sure the denim slightly overhangs the lining. Finish up by clipping all the way around the top, the bottom and the side seams as we did before.